Yeah, I'll read the preamble. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 and March 23rd order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Town of Southampton Select Board is being conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings as provided for in the order. A reminder that persons who would like to listen to, view this meeting while in progress may do so by go to zoom.us/join, hit join a meeting in the top right of your screen, type in the meeting ID 870-9969-3062, password 041751, hit join, and please be sure to mute your device when joining in. Note, to join in video meeting with cell phone, you will need to download the Zoom app from the App Store. Call and telephone number is 646-558-8656, or by watching Public Access TV Charter Spectrum Channel 191. In-person attendance and public comment at select board meetings will be suspended until further notice. If you email a written public comment before the scheduled select board meeting, it will be read at that select board meeting. If you email a written public comment after viewing something at a live televised select board meeting, it will be read at the next select board meeting. Please send your public comments via email to selectmen@townofsouthampton.org. Please note that all public comments must be within the requirements of the policy on public comments listed in the open time for the public on the select board agenda.
Okay, thank you very much, Ed. We're not going to do select board reports, so we're not going to do town administrator reports, and just FYI, Matt Rowland is not able to attend tonight. The purpose of this meeting is to approve the articles for the special town meeting warrant. So we are going to jump right to that. And I believe what we should do probably, even though most of these articles are familiar to us, perhaps what I'll do is go ahead down the list and read the list of them. And then would people like to approve them individually? Would you like to just me go down the list of them and then approve them as a group? What's your preference?
Francine had her hand up. And she's muted also.
Who has their hand up?
Francine.
Francine, and she's all muted.
Okay, Ed, can you unmute Francine?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to take the unmute off. I didn't have a comment.
Okay. And does anybody have a preference in terms of whether we approve them video or if we go down a list and
No preference on my part.
In case of a question,
This connection's not good here.
No.
okay, can
What'd
we,
you say, John?
The connection is breaking in and out. I mean, in case somebody has an issue with one, should we do them one at a time? I don't know that they will, but.
I'm fine with that. Go for it.
Oh, my.
Maureen's frozen, it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Looks like she's going out, coming back.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I see Virginia A. Hart for the first time.
Yes.
Hi, Virginia. Hi, Robert. Hi, Tammy. Hi, Jen.
Jen and Robert?
Mhm. Let's hope she can get back in.
Gee, it's only 10 after 5 by
Well, Francine,
Jennifer's
it's up
clock.
to you to do. Yeah. Francine, if she doesn't come back in, you can do my 12-minute meeting.
Oh, yeah, yeah. What I just noticed, the order of the articles on the agenda is not the order that they are in the warrant. So we should go by the order in the warrant, correct?
Yeah.
Francine, you missed a really good school committee meeting last night. It was fast. We were done before 8:30 and the new interim superintendent was on. So it was really, that was good.
Good, good. I'm glad.
And Matt
we
was there asking a ton of questions.
Yeah, I really thought Michael Sullivan was a great candidate. I'm glad he took the position.
Hey, Reenie's back.
Everybody,
He's back.
I'm back again.
The other gentleman.
Welcome.
Oh, there she is.
Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. I just got cut out there. So anyway, I happen to just notice that Virginia Ahart is on the call. So I don't know, Virginia, if you wanted to say a word about the CPC funding, but the first on the list of articles for the town meeting warrant is the Park Commission for the installation of 2 pickleball courts at Kona Park for $115,000. Does anybody want to speak to that, or does anybody have any questions about that?
Reedy, I just mentioned while you were off that the order of the articles in the warrant are not the same as the order of the articles in the warrant itself.
What's the agenda?
The
versus-
agenda is different from the warrant?
Yeah.
In the order of the articles.
Okay. Do you want to approve them in a different order than what's on the agenda?
I
Or you just
figured
letting us know?
you just go through the warrant itself.
Okay,
Yeah. And that way pickleball is number 7, actually. So,
all right. So I have to bring up the agenda elsewhere. So this is actually a pretty good time to say something. So I checked my email when I left work and I had 28 Southampton emails. So I just want to remind folks that I do not have any ability whatsoever to read emails on the day of a select board meeting. And so if there was anything of an urgent nature, you'll have to text me and say, please, it's important that you read this before the meeting, okay? So the first one is the PEG access broadcast equipment for town hall.
right.
And so that's to see if the town will vote to transfer appropriate $50,000 from public educational and government or PEG access capital fund to the town's PEG access designee, Easthampton Media, for the replacement, upgrade, and installation of the PEG TV broadcasting, streaming, and recording equipment at the town hall, first floor meeting room, and Norris Elementary School library. So would anybody like to speak to that? I know there was a question about that.
I'll just ask my question. I'm the one that probably did it. I just wanted to be sure that we didn't need any upgrades to the second floor meeting room too, given that whenever we do get back together, many committees actually do record their meetings on the second floor of town hall. And I know it's not live streamed at all, but I didn't know if anything like a microphone or anything was needed, just to be sure that we're not overlooking anything.
Not that I'm aware of, but our original plan was to do the first floor meeting room and then actually upgrade the facilities at Norris Elementary School.
Okay.
But no consideration for the second floor.
No,
I
that
don't,
was
I don't think with this $50,000.
right.
Okay.
Any other questions? Would someone like to make a motion to approve it if there aren't any other questions?
Yeah.
I'll make the motion, we approve Article 1.
Is that John? I'll second it. Chris?
Okay, made by John, seconded by Chris, and this is money in, money out, as I understand it. It's money that comes in from the charter fees or bill, and that there's nothing that the town will have to put out in addition, correct?
That's correct. This is actually funds that were received directly from Charter Spectrum and a $50,000 payment as part of the renewal of their contract, or our contract with them.
And as we're going through these articles, the finance committee met last night. I'll just let you know which ones they put their stamp of approval on, if you will, too.
Good.
This one, there was no vote on it because it had no effect on them.
Okay. We have a motion and second. Any other comment? All those in favor?
Fishman, aye.
All's aye.
Mark, aye.
And Groden, aye. The second article is the funding for the Ford F-550 or equivalent highway plow dump truck. And it's the town will vote to appropriate the $140,000 to purchase the new Ford F-550 dump truck with a plow and sander for the highway department. And do you want me to read the entire thing?
No, I might just want to mention that it's a borrowing article,
Borrowing.
also a debt exclusion article.
Yep, debt exclusion, it's borrowing the sum of $140,000. Bob, the vote is the so-called specifically for the dump truck. It's not a yes.
You're coming across like the old Max Headroom. You know, you're kind of shuttering your speech and we can't hear everything, or at least I can't. I don't know if the rest of you are like that.
Yeah.
I can't hear you. What did you say for this thing?
So it was John says you're coming across where we
Yeah,
can't hear
not
you.
sure what's happening tonight anyway. I don't know if I should switch to my phone or something. Huh.
You hear us now, Reedy?
Is that still the case right now?
No. Now I
Right
hear
now,
you.
it's good. Yeah.
I can hear you okay.
No.
No, and then it goes out again.
Okay,
Well,
I'm
to
literally
get
up in
this
the
going,
study with the window.
I'll
Well,
make
I
a-
might just turn it over to. You're making a motion to approve this one, John?
Yeah, I'll make a motion. We approve Article 2.
Okay.
And I'll second.
Okay, further discussion?
So, yeah, at the Finance Committee last night, the Finance Committee members felt that because it was already approved by the voters, they didn't want to take a stand on it either way, which, you know, was interesting. But they also asked the question of, are the people at the town meeting going to know how long this is going to be financed for and roughly how much it will affect their taxes each year for that period? And, you know, Ed discussed it, and I guess traditionally we don't have a period in mind because we go out and find out the best funding if it's 5 years, 7 years, or 10 years. But it begs the question, are people going to say, well, what is this going to cost me and how long? So I think we should have some examples of what it will cost the people, even if it's 5, 7, and 10 or whatever Ed feels is the viable terms, because it's hard to vote on something when you don't know how it's going to affect your tax rate.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought they finally did vote to recommend this article, John.
I had it down here as that they didn't because it was passed by the voters. If you have something different, we'll check with the minutes.
Okay. Yeah, I had it down as they recommended it.
But I think
the
to
question
John's
of how-
point, if we were to provide some examples, how, you know, 10 cents per thousand, you know.
Yeah, we should do that.
Yes.
I think it's going to be very minimal, and it'd be nice to give people that figure.
Right.
And that's going to be possible for the meeting, Ed?
Yes, it should be.
Okay. Any other questions on Article 2? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor?
Fishman, aye.
Fowles eye.
Martin, aye.
Groden, aye. The next one is funding for replacement of the security system at Edwards Library. To see if the town will vote to transfer $5,800 from capital stabilization to the Edwards Library capital budget to fund the replacement and expansion of the security system at the library. Sorry, my neighbor's making a lot of noise. Did you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Questions?
No.
Nope.
No.
Can I have a motion then to approve it?
I move to approve the security system at Edwards Library for $5,800.
I'll second it.
Francine and then Chris. Any further questions? All in favor?
Finance Committee supported
Supports
this.
it? Okay.
Great.
Yes.
All right. All in favor?
Fishman, aye.
Fowles eye.
Martin, aye.
And Groden, aye. Article 4 is funding for a wide format scanner for the building department. To see if the town will vote to transfer $7,000 from capital stabilization fund to the building department capital budget to fund the purchase and installation of a wide format scanner or take any other action. This has been on the radar for at least the last couple of meetings. And this will enable, to have electronic versions of a number of the files in the building department. Any comments or questions about Article 4?
No.
No, I would assume it would be useful for the planning board as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
For some of
Yeah,
their big
for highway, for
documents.
planning, for
All
any
those-
large documents.
Yeah, so it'll have multiple uses, yeah.
Yes.
Does the assessors have a wide format scanner?
No.
No,
So
None of
no
us do.
department in town hall does?
No.
Okay, well, that'll be good.
yeah. So this can benefit
Just
a lot. Yeah.
with that in mind, is this going to be in a central location, or is it going to be inside the building commissioner's office? Do we know?
The original plan was
Not that it
to
matters for this.
place it downstairs where it can be locked up in the studio.
Okay.
What do you mean downstairs? What studio?
There's a room marked studio downstairs that currently has election and voting materials stored in it, some health department or emergency management supplies. It actually has some old computers in it, but the original plan was to put it down there so it could be secured.
Why, how big is this?
Oh, I would probably say it's probably going to take up about 4 to 5 feet on a wide table. Because it has to take in those basic architectural plans.
Okay.
So it's bigger than those.
Okay, well, whatever, it does, it's, the building department locks, right? Is it not room in the building department for that, or is that just to make it more usable for all the departments, or, it is specifically earmarked in this article for the building department.
Yeah, but it was always discussed that it was actually of who would bring it forward, the building department or actually the highway department. But I would say it would probably be a little bit too big just to store it in the building department.
Okay.
No.
Well, I suppose we'll leave it up to people in town hall, but any other questions about the article itself? Then would somebody like to make a motion? Okay.
I'll make a motion we approve Article 4.
I'll second it.
John, did the Finance Committee comment on this?
Yeah, they went through it. Ed gave the background and they gave their recommendation.
Okay.
And was it Francine that seconded the motion?
Yes.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Tishman, I.
Falls on.
Martin, aye.
And Groden, aye. The next is funding for replacement of 6 desktop PCs. To see if the town will vote to transfer $7,600 from the Capital Stabilization Fund of the Town Hall IT capital budget to fund the purchase and installation of 6 desktop PCs and software and operating systems. Questions about Article 5?
I had just asked if we could be a little more specific as to what offices would be getting these, because it seems like there's more than 6 people that would need them unless we already have some newer ones for certain offices already, or?
We already have some that were approved in fiscal year 20. That was the start, and I'd have to go back and look, but I think it was 7.
Okay,
So this is phase 2 of that.
so this would finish everybody out, basically.
There'd be one more phase left, probably after this, but not many.
Now, what about the remote capability? I mean, right now we're, we're dealing with laptops, docking stations, working remotely, all of that. Does this, and also Zoom meetings and cameras on PCs, will this allow, what capability will this allow?
What we have been doing and starting to do is, although it wasn't part of the original plan, is to also have web cameras and speakers come with these.
Okay,
So
but there are no remote options, right? Like there's not a laptop with a docking station or anything like that, right?
No, and in general, laptops have a shorter lifespan than desktops do.
Right.
You know, my personal and professional feeling is that in the phase 2 of the CARES Act that we should probably look at getting, about maybe 5 laptops or maybe 6. I'll have to take a closer look at it and have them available for department heads. Whether something like this happens again and they have to work remotely at home, or they need them for meetings to do at home or whatever instead of coming back into the office.
Yeah, just one thing. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Francine.
I was just going to ask, how many would you need so that every department head had one?
Well, there's a couple pieces of the puzzle. I would want to take a close look at what the department heads do or need. And then the other piece is also a piece of the puzzle is, okay, do they have internet at home? Because you need those 2 pieces to comply.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm kind of speechless since they don't have internet at home. That really is the case?
It may be. I know we have employees that don't have internet at home. I don't know specifically if we have department heads that may not have internet at home.
Is this a result of where the charter service ends?
Yes, that would be.
Mm-hmm. Just one thing on the desktops. I agree with you that laptops have a shorter lifespan and they're much more disposable in that regard. However, in my professional work, I had a docking station kind of thing where when I was traveling overseas, I just unlocked my computer basically and took my laptop with me overseas, and I didn't have to worry about flash drives or anything else because my main information was always still there on my desktop. It was so much easier to not lose any of your files and not have duplicate files and just keep organized. I don't know. I just ask that you take a look at the idea of some docking stations.
We
And-
can.
And I think if we may find ourselves in this situation again, and people won't have the tools to work remotely from home. If they don't have a personal laptop that they could use.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to the
That
article
makes
about to the PCs. Do we have a motion and second yet? I don't believe so.
No, not yet.
Would somebody like to make a motion? Or are there more questions or both?
Well, I guess I'm okay with this as long as I know that in the pipeline under the second phase of the CARES Act, we're looking at laptops, documentations for people to facilitate their work from outside of town hall.
Mhm.
And that's,
We will be.
okay, yep, I'll take your word. So with that, I'll make the motion to accept.
Okay, is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second it. Chris?
Any further questions, discussion?
This
All in favor?
was supported by the Finance Committee.
That was approved by the Finance Committee? Okay. Okay, all in favor?
Fishman, aye.
Fowles eye.
Martin, aye.
And Groden, aye. We're up to Article 6. It's transfer funding for election registration wages. To see if the town will vote to transfer the sum of $3,500 to the election registration wage account. Said sums be taken from these accounts. $2,000 from PEG program account, $500 from certification stipend account line, $500 from select board minutes account line, and $500 from the building department gas and plumbing expense account line. Questions about Article 6? These workers used to be not funded as part of the operational budget, and I believe this is to actually, is that correct? They used to be on a stipend, and now they're actually, we learned that they are supposed to be in the operating budget?
Well, last year and in previous years, they were paid out of the expense line account. So they're paid on 1099s. And the IRS brought it to our attention that they really should be paid on W-2s. So during the year last year, we had to actually transfer the expense funds into the wage funds so they could be paid correctly. And for some reason, when the budget numbers were put out this year, rather than picking up that change, Vicki and Lucy had talked about $5,000 in the wage account. What was carried forward was the $1,000 from the original budget last year. So we're looking to shore that up as the election and registration workers do need to get paid.
And will this cover us through the special town meeting and the November election as well, or?
It should.
Is there an increase? I'm sorry, the jets are going overhead here.
Yeah, I got
Them too. Is there an increase because of the number of elections to this line, or is this sort of taking what wasn't originally allocated into the operating budget and putting in the same amount?
Putting in an amount that is estimated to carry us through the standard number of elections required that we knew about for this year.
Okay, it sounds like an increase. Did Vicki look at the items, you and Vicki or whoever, and to make the decision that there was money in PEG certification and minutes and gas and plumbing? Was that a recommendation from Vicki?
Yes.
Okay.
And so
Yes,
there's,
we had the discussion where we could get it from. We were actually originally looking for about $4,000. We were able to identify $3,500.
Okay.
and there's no restriction on us using the PEG money for this?
It's a revenue number. What we're looking at right now is that the PEG, we had estimated that the receipts, which would match the invoices, last year was about $70,000. From what we're seeing so far this year, there seems to be less individuals or shall we say, people taking less expensive packages. So it looks like the actual number that will come in that we'll get from Charter is a little bit south of $68,000. So that's why it would be available.
Oh, so we're allowed to use it for other purposes?
We wouldn't be using it for other purposes. What we're saying is the actual revenue generated to pay to Easthampton is going to be about $68,000.
Other questions? In that case, would someone like to make a motion to approve Article 6?
I'll move to approve Article 6.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, further
And
discussion?
Finance Committee took no Finance Committee took no action on this one.
Okay, is there a reason for that?
Yeah, it doesn't really have any financial impact, if you will. It's just a transfer between lines.
Okay, okay. Any further question or discussion? All those in favor?
Fishman, aye.
Fowles eye.
Martin, aye.
And Groden, aye. Next is Article 7, and this is one of the CPC, and I'm just checking. I don't know if Virginia would like to talk to this or present it, or I'm happy to read it, and she can speak to it. Is she still muted?
No, she's not.
Oh,
Hello, Virginia, how are you?
I guess fine.
Oh, good. Now, would you like me to read the article from CPC, or would you like to?
I don't have it in front of me.
Okay, I'll read it, and then you can speak to it if you'd like. To see if the town would vote to transfer the sum of $115,000 from community preservation funds to the Park Commission for the construction of 2 new pickleball courts in Conant Park. Said funds to be transferred from community preservation surcharge undesignated account. So would anybody like, Virginia would like to say anything more about it, or?
Well, this is the one that we took off of the annual to make it quicker, the annual meeting.
Yeah.
And we felt that they could start working on it, wouldn't be working on it till the spring anyway. The only thing I want to say is that I hope that, excuse me, when we actually begin to discuss it on the floor, that the location doesn't come up, because that took us several meetings to get through. And this is the Park Commission recommendation. And that's the only thing I hope that happens with it, that they don't get hung up on why it's there in Conant Park. But I think some of the people there on your on the select board could speak to why there is a a desire for it more than I can.
Mhm.
Because we have you have some players there.
Mhm.
Go ahead, Francine.
Okay, all right, yes, we have, through the Council on Aging, purchased equipment, paddles, nets, markers, and balls and everything that you needed, so that we were able on a temporary basis to reline one of the tennis courts, make two pickleball courts on one tennis court. It's scheduled use by the Council on Aging is twice a week. I know that the school has it scheduled for once a week, and I know that people utilize the facilities certainly several more times during the week. We have as many as sometimes 16 people on a Sunday morning playing pickleball. So, in the last winter, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to do it this year, but last winter we were able to have games played on Sundays at Norris School in the cafeteria. Obviously, that's off limits to us for this year, unfortunately, not just for the reason we can't play pickleball, but for the whole pandemic issue. Anyway, having a dedicated pickleball court, I think you'll find there's a lot of support, not just among seniors, but among other people in the community. I know that it's being taught at Norris School, so some of the students might be wanting to play at some point in time. I think it's a great activity. It's multi-generational for everybody's health and well-being. So that's what I'm hoping. The fact that it's at Conant Park for a multiple number of reasons is underutilized. It has very adequate parking. If anyone is familiar, Easthampton already constructed their two pickleball courts adjacent to their soccer field, and it's mayhem. When there are soccer tournaments going on, there's not sufficient parking, and you're just mixing it's just too many people, concentrated in one area of Nonotuck Park. So this way, we utilize where we already have very nice facilities. You have bathrooms and shelter and so forth, and parking, and it's Conant Park is underutilized. That then leaves Labrie Field for the SYAA and all the other tournaments that have going on there. There would be no competition for parking. And I see someone else on the.
Anybody else want to comment on the pickleball article?
Does Janet Kane want to comment?
I'm looking to see if there's any hand raising, and I don't see any, but she's right there. Do you want to unmute her? We'll ask her if she would like to say a word or two.
I'm trying to.
I'm unmuted, I think.
Yep, you are. Hi, Janet.
Good evening, everybody. So thank you, Francine, for a great description. I think that I've talked to a number of people in town that are throughout the generations. It's not just the seniors, it's not just the kids, and it's a very family-oriented activity. So I think that the nice part of being at Conant Park is that if there's a family event, they can use it there. And I think that's, there's been a lot of more tennis activity this year as well with the Conant, with the COVID. I think that a number of people have taken up tennis again. So we're more restricted at Conant for the one tennis court, which gives us two pickleball. But if we build the pickleball courts at Conant, then we can have overflow courts as well on the tennis courts if there's more than the 8 people there to play. Again, I think it's a great family activity as well. So those were my 2 cents.
I think we lost Rini.
Okay,
Are your cameras going on and off? I'm losing picture and it comes back and I lose it again.
okay.
No, mine's good. I'm stable tonight for a change, but so's Tammy. Okay, good.
Okay.
But I think we did lose Rini.
Yeah, all right, so let me pick up at this point in time to ask if there's a motion.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to add the article to the warrant for the CPA funds for the pickleball courts. Yeah.
And
Okay,
Reni's signing back in too, just so you know.
good.
Okay, I'll second it.
Okay, so Chris and John?
Chris
there
and
any-
John?
Yes, any more discussion?
Yeah, Finance Committee took no action on this because it was CPC.
Okay, good, thank you. Anything else? Okay, so we're ready to go for a vote. All those in favor?
You want to wait till Rini signs back in?
Nope.
She's
He's
on
muted.
mute again.
Oh, she got back in without me seeing her. There we go.
Thank you, Francine. Go ahead. I think the discussion's over and we're voting now.
Right.
I'll say Groden, aye.
Fowles eye.
Martin, aye.
Tishman, aye. Okay, so it passes unanimously. Thank you. Okay, Rini. back to you.
Yep, I'm just going to go ahead and look for the additional.
Do you want to do
Ed,
the
did you-
wetlands
did you say-
protection bylaw first?
Oh, yes. Let me bring it up because it's a long one. And I just read through that over the weekend. Does everybody get a chance to see that?
Yes.
Okay, so this is Article 8, the Wetlands Protection Bylaw, to see if the town will adopt the following Wetlands Protection Bylaw. So it's a pretty lengthy bylaw and goes into resource areas, buffer zones, conservation, local streams, rivers, vernal pools, isolated wetlands. This has been recommended by the Conservation Commission. Chris, do you want to say anything as a liaison there about the Wetlands Protection Bylaw?
Sure, I'll add a comment, but just also to note, Concom member Dan LaValle is also on, and maybe he'll speak something to it as well.
Okay, good.
Basically, this is a bylaw that I believe had been put forth at one point 2-3 years ago and made it to the town meeting warrant, but through some sort of administrative error, it actually got tabled, and so it was never voted on. And so this is essentially basically the Wetlands Protection Act law that is related to that, obviously, that was passed a few years ago. And this bylaw basically gives the town the authority to enact some enforcement if needed and make it consistent in terms of its application, I guess, to the residents of town. So Dan, I don't know if you want to add anything more than that. He's muted too.
Yeah, it'll take a second for it to clear.
Yep. And I think this is one, just to say that we'll be working on a handout of some sort to go along with this so that people can understand what this is all about without, 13 pages is going to scare people away. But I think we want to help people understand what this is all about to have a consistent application of the law as it relates to our natural resources in town, basically.
Right. I think you can hear me now, right?
Yep.
Yep, yeah, we can, Dan. How you doing? If you can just introduce yourself, that'd be
yes.
great.
Yeah, Dan LaValle, 17 Glendale Road, obviously member of the Conservation Commission. I think Chris said it very well. This is it works in conjunction with the state's Wetland Protection Act. It allows the town, when needed, to enforce some of the parts of the Protection Act. When after we've spoken to landowners and they may have entered into areas around wetlands and disturbed those areas, that we have methods to get that land repaired. So it kind of gives us the ability to protect the land better.
Okay, thank you very much, Dan. Any questions?
No, just to say,
Comment?
this is very similar to something that most other towns around have already adopted. So we're just kind of following suit. We're just a little bit later than planned on it.
Any further comments, questions? Would someone like to make a motion then?
I'll make a motion. Oh, go ahead, Francine.
Go ahead, Chris, yours.
That's okay. I'll make a motion that we add the wetlands protection bylaw to the town meeting warrant.
And I'll second it.
Okay, any further questions or comments?
Finance Committee took no action on this one.
All right, thanks, John. All right, all those in favor?
Tishman, I.
Fowles, aye.
Martin, aye.
And Groden, aye. So I believe that's the list of them for the warrant. Are there additional items, Ed?
Yes, we had 2 additional requests come in. The first one from Jennifer Day, our treasurer collector, concerning reorganizing how her office is staffed and transferring funds around. So I drafted a quick article on that to see if the town will vote to transfer the sum of $6,942.12 to the treasurer collector's salary account. Said sum shall be taken from the treasurer collector wages account or take any other action relative thereto. And I will unmute Jen so she can tell you how she got to that idea.
Hi, how are you?
Okay, hi Jennifer, if you can just identify yourself, and is there something on in the background or is that all set?
Oh, Brianna, can you mute the TV now, did you? Yeah. Okay, sorry, my daughter was watching TV. All right, so my assistant treasurer collector gave her notice. Her last day will be October 15th, as I had said in the email. So that's too bad, but I thought it would be a good time to maybe reorganize the office. So I had an idea to reduce the admin clerk hours to 18 from 30. And then I would pick up Fridays as an additional day and work Monday to Friday. So I'm transferring the wages from admin clerk to my salary line. I mean, I think it can be beneficial because the office will be open on Fridays or not. I mean, right now we're not open to the public, and I guess I shouldn't have said opened. I would prefer it to be like just a working day for me on Fridays. However, if there was a tax due on a Friday, I would open the office so taxpayers could come in that day and pay the bill. There's still a lot of business that conducts on Friday, even though we're closed, that it would just be beneficial if there was someone in the office to do that. Also, it turns the other position into a non-benefited, which would definitely be a cost saving for the town. So it's an idea. I'm not sure what everyone thinks or.
Does anybody have any comments or questions?
Just to clarify, because I don't know that I totally know, just the difference, you've got a clerk, right? And your assistant treasurer collector, right?
Yeah.
So just to go over the hours that they currently work and whether they're benefited now?
Yeah.
So Jen, start with you right now, Jen. How many hours do you work?
So right now on Monday to Thursday, I mean, generally, like I try to come in when the building's open or sometimes more. It just depends. But
Jen, how many hours you paid for?
Right now I'm paid from Monday to Thursday, 8:30 to 4. I'm elected, so it's hard to like really put an hour on it, but we've always based it off 30 hours.
Okay, that's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
And then you have an assistant treasurer?
So I have an assistant, treasurer collector who works 62 hours biweekly.
So it's 31 hours a week.
Yeah, she works 30 hours one week and 32 the next. The extra 2 hours are for when we're open to the public from 4 to 6 every other Tuesday.
Okay.
And I
Now,
generally
right now, it's
use
not
the-
open to the public, so is that still the same right now?
It is still the same right now. She likes to stay. It helps her get payroll done that week because it normally always falls in a payroll week. So it just helps to have that extra time for her.
And then the last position is the admin clerk?
Yes. That's currently 60 hours biweekly.
And that's your proposal to reduce it to 18
Yes.
and increase yours. All right, what questions people have?
I guess,
I've got go ahead, Francine.
no, I guess in terms of following our processes and our procedures, is this something that has to go before the PBB?
I don't think so. I mean, I did speak to Art and Robin about it. Neither of them said that it had to go. I know Art's not on the committee anymore, but he still has a lot of the knowledge. Neither of them mentioned that. I think because the resignation for Robin will go to the PPPB, and then, to hire for Robin's position. And then when I do hire for the clerk, the hours would be reduced in the new PCF. But because the duties aren't changing, it's not really, I would have to do a PRF just to change the hours.
Oh. Go ahead, John, ask your question. We'll come back.
Okay, a couple questions. How will this affect the coverage since you're reducing this person from 30 to 8? So if you're on vacation for a couple of weeks, will that affect the coverage that we have in the department for the town residents?
So I don't think so. I mean, what I was thinking was that the person, if it was 18 hours, could work pretty much Monday to Wednesday, 6 hours a day. We still have the assistant who would be there on another day. I mean, I'm not going to take my vacation time on a week where I thought it would be an issue. And I'm hoping that when I do hire the clerk, that 18 hours could even be broken up like, okay, well, I want them to be flexible where if they needed to work a Thursday, it's a possibility. And we could just break up the hours over the 4 days instead of the 3 or, I mean, that's just.
Yeah, I guess my only concern is that we want to make sure somebody's there to answer the questions when.
Yeah, I mean, there's 3 of us, so there will always be someone.
Okay. Now, you said you want to do an additional day on Friday, which in general I'm not opposed to, but you said you don't want to be open. You just want to be there and work. It seems like if you're going to get an additional day with the office being open to the public, it would be a benefit to the residents coming in rather than just a work day, as you described it.
I mean, honestly, I've realized through COVID that, we've been able to conduct all business without having the residents come in. We've met very few residents in the parking lot. Everyone's able to pay online, by mail, the Dropbox. I mean, this has been working out great. So, I mean, I don't necessarily think I would be willing to make appointments with residents on Fridays or, like I said, open when taxes are due. But for me, if I can just sit there on that one day and be able to do like bank recs and, things like that and not have to get up every few minutes, it would be really helpful. I mean, there are certain things that I do that you just need some time
And the
for.
other question. Yeah. Oh, I understand that part. And the other question, as an elected official, and not necessarily for you, I guess it's a 2-part question. One, elected official doesn't have to work any hours. So we increase the salary to X amount, and technically the treasurer could say, and again, I'm not making it personal, could say, well, I'm not going to work Friday anymore. I'm just going to come in Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, because we have no control over that because it's an elected position. So it goes along with the person in the job, which I'm fine with you. But does this create a precedent going forward that if somebody else goes into that position, now we have a 40-hour position at this rate and we're not able to change it? And I guess that's a question for Ed.
I mean, right before I started, you did reduce the salary, so I think that it could probably happen again. Because the salary was reduced from 56 to 50 something when I started. So I'm pretty sure there would be a way to do that if need be, but I'm hoping that's not the case. I'm hoping to, stay with Southampton, and that's why I thought this would be, something, it would just give me more time to just focus on Southampton. And, I'm hoping to stick around for a while.
We hope you do too. So, but the question, Ed, is that when a new election comes up and say Jen decided she didn't want to do that, and we're at X amount of dollars in 5 days a week, before the election, can we decide that we want to go 4 days at X amount of dollars for a salary, or are we tied into what was going on before?
It would have to be voted at town meeting again, the salary change. Either at town meeting or at a meeting before the tax rate was set. So before the election then? Correct. It would have to be voted to increase the salary.
At the town meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or decrease it with the number of days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the number of days aren't even
I just
part
want to
of
make sure we're not. Yeah. I like the idea for you. I just want to make sure we're not stepping on a landmine down the road.
No,
Well, that's what I wanted to say. I think we are stepping on a landmine, and I just want to make a couple of comments. I don't really feel like I can support this for a couple of reasons. I think it's something that I would absolutely consider. It came up in the last 48 hours. I think I'm not sure it's entirely well thought out. What is to stop any department head from deciding that they want to work on Friday, they want to go from 30 to 40? We have custodial, our office is not open on Friday.
Yeah.
So are there other plumbing, restrooms, custodial things to consider?
I mean, Ed works every Friday in the building, so.
Oh, I know. He's, that's his contract. Can I just finish?
Yeah.
I just want to say that I just have an issue with someone just saying I'm going to decrease this particular person's hours and raise my own. I think that is stepping on a landmine. I think it has to be very well thought out. Well, when I had a position that was very administrative and clinical, which is kind of the same thing, we did a time study for a month to look at, I believe people should operate at the top of their sort of license. I don't think Ed should be paid, for example, to take minutes. I think that if the treasurer should be at a level that's treasurer and not administrative assistant. So I think just moving hours around has to be based on the workload and not, even though we'd love to have you stay, Jen, it should be based on what are the needs of Southampton in the town treasurer collector's office, not, to focus on Southampton. If the need should be based on what is needed for the office, based on the size of the town and the workload, and people should be working at the top of their sort of expertise, so that if one expertise is filing and copying and things like that, that doesn't take a higher level kind of a position. It takes a clerk position. So I just feel like there's just a lot of there's a lot more discussion and consideration and study that needs to go into this. I'm not opposed to it. It just feels like someone just resigned. So within 48 hours is a proposal. And I do think these all have to go I think they all have to go in front of PQB.
So unfortunately, I did it so quick only because my salary has to be voted on before the tax rate is set. So it was either do it now or it can't happen this fiscal year. And I figured, well, I can't, because I'm not going to just cut someone from their job. So my idea was to promote, if Christy wanted to apply for the position, I was hoping she would apply for it and she could, move in as the assistant treasurer collector. So I wasn't just trying to cut her hours. I was hoping that she could get promoted I mean, I know that I didn't have much time to think about it because, like I said, I had to act fast. And, you know, it's something that, you know, maybe we could, and it's possible to even do it possibly like next fiscal year. I mean, either way, I'm fine the way I am now. I can continue to, I work for Goshen. I can continue to work there on Fridays. That's fine. So if it's something that we want to wait on and give it more time.
I just would strongly recommend doing like a time study. I mean, I really think that what you need to do is determine what the needs are of the department at what particular level. And therefore, you know, if one position, if it really takes the treasurer at the top of, you know, the top person in the office to do X, Y, and Z, and you can say, based on all this workload of this office, this, you know, really should be done by the treasurer collector. I think it just needs to, it should be based on what the needs of the office are for the town of Southampton, not an individual person within the office.
Yeah, I was going to pick up more of the work that was like more reporting, like our quarterly reports for payroll, MTRS reporting. I wasn't just going to, you know, pick up work as in like, you know, I'll obviously like take payments and post payments when I need to. I mean, I still do now if I have to, because we just have like certain things just have to get done at certain times. So we just do what we have to do. But I mean, overall, I mean, I've worked in that office for almost 5 years total, and I know how it runs. And I mean, I do think this could work. I've done every, and I've done Christie's. I've done the clerk position, I've done the assistant position, and now I'm doing treasurer collector. So I know the office well, but I understand that it was like a fast, I thought it out really fast just because I had to. So,
just another question. I guess if you think that, you know, the clerk, if I understood, the clerk right now is working 30 hours essentially, right? So
correct.
Taking it down to 18, that is enough for whatever level of work the clerk does now to get done. I mean, I guess that kind of ties in with Reni's idea of a time study of, you know, if we're working at 30 hours now, but we think we could really manage that job and do whatever the clerk needs to do efficiently and well within an 18-hour time span.
Well, I would be picking up like 16 hours. So I would be able to pick up, I'm saying, the work that they weren't able to do.
So you're picking up some of the slack then. Okay, I see.
Correct. Yeah. So I don't, you know, I thought
what they aren't able to do, Jen, are you picking up what they aren't able to do, or are you picking up what they're currently doing at 16 hours?
Yes. Yeah.
so. I would be able to pick up like what that position wasn't able to do with the new hours I had on Fridays, and I'm not.
You would essentially be working as the clerk.
Well, I'm not necessarily saying the exact duties. I would not, you know, not the exact duties. Like I said, right now the payroll person does all like the quarterly filing for state taxes, federal taxes, the 941. I thought, you know, I could pick up that. So then there's different duties I could pick up that aren't necessarily clerk duties, that are more of a higher level, and to be able to help them out so they can manage the other duties.
Yeah, but why would we pay somebody more money to the same job that we could pay somebody less money? I mean, that's the whole point of having somebody work. You're a department head and you would be paid at a higher level. So the whole point of doing this is what's the workload of the department, and what are the different levels of work, and what requires a treasurer collector to do versus a clerk. And I think when I had people in my department do a time study, it was to time out, how long did it take you to do this task, and then look at, is this task something that can be done by, you know, administrative assistant, versus this something that needs to really be done by, you know, someone with a license or someone that's a department head or something. So it's to look at the different levels of work, and frankly, to try to say that anything that is a, you know, a lower level type responsibility, or you know, different one, could be done by a clerk, because I don't know that shifting. 12 or 16 hours to you of something that somebody's already doing for less would make sense to us.
And
I
one
mean,
other
yeah,
thought-
overall, it's going to be the same amount within the year. It's just that they're doing it in, I guess, more hours than I would do it. I also have more experience, so I should be able to do the work quicker.
Yeah, but just so you know, I'm talking about the work itself. Like, I don't understand why we wouldn't pay, why would we pay more for someone to do a job that can be done by, that's a clerk level position, like clerk level duty?
I mean, there's a lot of duties in the outer office part that, I mean, I already have to do and have to pick up, I guess, that aren't necessarily, I mean, it's fine. I just thought it'd be beneficial for the town because I could hire someone at the 30 hours, say they need the insurance, and now we're looking at another $20,000 a year cost, where if I reduce this position to non-eligible, it's a savings. So I just thought maybe it would be helpful. It would help me focus on just Southampton. I thought I would be able to do a better job for the town, but if you don't agree, that's fine. I will just continue to do what I do.
No, I'm suggesting that you do some kind of analysis of the workload of the office, and maybe Ed can help you with that in terms of looking at what is the work that the office has to do, what requires your level versus what requires an assistant versus what requires a clerk. And then based on the workload of the office for the town of Southampton and our size, then to make decisions based on the work and the hours, based on what the needs are for the office to get done.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm suggesting. And so I'd be
Okay.
totally open to that if there was data that you showed me that showed that here's the workload, and I think I should do this because I'm the treasurer collector, and I think, my assistant can do this, and I think this is pretty much more at a top level.
I understand what you're saying. Unfortunately, this came up fast, Rob. I just got the notice. And like I said, I would have had to do this for my salary to be changed at this special town meeting. So I understand it's a rush. So I completely understand. And maybe I'll come back with it another time, but
Okay.
Is this
And
something we
there
could look at annual town meeting?
it's a possibility, but I feel like by then I may have to hire someone anyways. Like I can't just,
Yeah.
I mean, I thought talked about, I could try to just hire temporary for now, but at the same time, I don't really want to do that because I would rather just hire someone that can stay in the position. So I thought this was a good time because I'm not going to hire someone for the position and then cut their hours because I don't think that would be right.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Can I raise a point? I
Sure.
really do think that this needs to go to the PBB because you have a salaried position as opposed to an hourly position, I believe. So you until the work gets done. So with that, I think they need to be involved in making recommendations.
Yeah, because I'm elected as far as my position goes, it just has to be voted at town meeting.
But it's a salaried position.
Yeah, but my salary has to get voted at town meeting. It's not decided by PPPB.
But the fact that this increase you're translating in terms of additional hours that you would be working, that puts it kind of in a different light that I think.
Which I could definitely put through PPPB before the meeting if need be, but.
I think by definition, under Department of Labor standards, we really need to understand it.
Yeah.
I don't think Department of Labor standards.
In addition to what Rini raised as an analysis that would give us and you insight into the operation of your department and the staffing levels that you need. So.
Yeah, no, I know. I myself can understand the operation of my department because like I said, I've been working in there for over 5 years and I know what we do every day. But
I've been doing what I've been doing for a long time too, Jen, and I think that there's a difference between knowing the responsibilities and doing a time study. A time study, you actually Yeah, you actually look at for an entire month, how long does it take to do? You could actually, you'd be amazed at the amount of information you gather when you actually look at data. It's not just a matter of like, I know what I do and I know what we do. I think if you actually did a time study and you looked at how long it takes to do certain things, you'll realize that you need new equipment. You'll realize that, you know, some of the ways of doing things are a little bit of workarounds. You'll realize that you need, you know, different staffing things. I just think it's very valuable, and I just think it's worth doing.
I mean, it's hard for us to do a time study, to be frankly honest, because it's not like we get to just sit there and do what we do. Like, it's not like we can say, oh, we're going to post these payments and that's all we're going to do. We're going to answer the phone maybe 10 times in between. When the public's coming in, we're going to get up maybe 15 times in between. So it's not like we can necessarily, you know, calculate like each like duty that we do in the office. It doesn't, it's just, it's
Yeah, Jen, my staff didn't like it either. Every single time they had to pick up a phone too, they had to make a little check. And I mean, I just really strongly recommend it. I mean, it's not easy for anybody to do, but it's incredibly revealing.
Yeah.
Can I just add that it might be a little difficult at this time to do a time study, simply because it isn't open to the public. So those interruptions wouldn't be happening.
correct. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so,
But I think it gives you the idea of not only the amount of skills or whatever the skill level is needed at each level, but also, you know, the difficulty of the task, how long it takes, but also the frequency of the task too, because some things you're doing every 2 weeks, some things you're doing daily. I mean, whatever, that just helps to parse it out better. So you've just got a stronger case, to stand on.
I just feel like my job as treasurer collector and as being elected is to make sure that the office is running the way it should be, that everything's getting done regardless of what level it is. And that's just what I try to do. And that's what I was going to continue to do. But, you know,
I just think the timing is just unfortunate, just coming so quickly before we have to make a decision on the warrant, because I don't think we've got enough solid information to help you even present a good case, honestly, that people would abide by without a lot of questions.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, I agree with Chris, and those questions may come up at the meeting, and we don't have sufficient information at this point, I think, other than transferring money from one line to the other, but sufficient information about the duties to respond.
Yeah, I mean, all we have is like the postings now, like what the duties for each position are, but yeah, not in a timed study. I mean, that changes day to day, like we do different things at different times of year all the time. So I don't see how a time study would work for us, to be frankly honest, But
do you think the office up to now has not been running well with the staffing pattern that you have?
No, I do think it's running well. And I don't think there's anything wrong with the staffing we have right now. I think that Christy, or my admin clerk, is great at what she does. I think she's very smart. I think she could be great as assistant treasurer collector. It's unfortunate that Robin's leaving. She was really good at what she did. I just thought that rather than hiring another 30-hour, benefit eligible person, that maybe this could work and it would be cost saving for the town. And if that's okay. I mean, I can, like I said, I work on Fridays right now. I like the town of Goshen. I can continue to work there. It's fine.
And I agree with the other folks. I guess one question I have is, when you reduce hours from 30 to 18, that's a 12-hour difference, and you're just going to be working Fridays. So you're kind of putting your 7.5 hours into 12 hours now. So you'd have to be much, much more efficient, which you probably could be, but that 7.5 and 12 is a little concerning to me. And the timing of all this, like everybody said, is probably way too soon.
No, I understand the timing. I knew it was a rush, but I thought I would give it a shot. I thought it was a good idea.
Yeah.
So you can only try, right?
It was.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
We don't blame you for that. And it may be a great idea, it's just we need more details.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that more
well,
details.
until
more
I get,
details-
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just said more details will also be good. I mean, you're actually setting a precedence by suggesting that you increase your hours and pay. And I just think that you just have to understand that that's something that would have to come with an awful lot of data and explanation, because what's stopping anybody else in the building from doing the same thing? So we just need to, you need to make a case that,
I mean-
based on the work that's currently being done, and why that would be a solid reason for us to go along with that.
I mean, well, I guess if another department head who didn't work on Fridays thought that, the money was already within their budget, like this money is already within my budget, I'm not asking for more. If they thought they could pick up the work of someone on a Friday, like, I guess I don't see what would be wrong with that, but, I don't
Well, I'd
know.
like to see why somebody might actually, like, we're always trying to cut money. So like, I would like, justification for why all the positions are currently needed. So, I mean, I just think you have to have data, you have to have an
Yeah.
explanation. When you're trying to propose to increase your day and hours of work, I think it has to be a solid case.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Ed, do you have any experience with some time study kind of things that could help Jen maybe start the idea?
I don't have a lot of experience in that end, but I'm happy to help her with it.
Mhm.
And I
Okay,
wonder
well-
if there's anything that the PBB might have available. I mean, they've worked on different job descriptions and things. I mean, they had to get to that point by using some information and sourcing it.
Yeah.
Some way they may have done it.
Yeah, no, I understand. It's just
Go
that
ahead,
now
Jen.
was kind of the time. I feel like once I hire someone, like this conversation is over until someone else leaves. So until someone else gives their notice, like I can't change anything. So and I know it's not good timing, but it's like now or never. So like I said, until someone else gives their notice, I'm not going to change anyone's hours when they're in a position without being able to offer them the same hours.
Yeah, but having the study done in your pocket, if somebody all of a sudden leaves, you're ready to
Yeah,
go.
I
So
guess.
it's-
Yeah, that's true. So we could do that.
I just see the job of the department head is to look at all the different people in your department and to look at what the workload is and what the level of position is needed to do the job and to make a case for that.
Yeah.
And so I just need to have more information, Jen. And I agree with Francine. I guess this isn't probably the best time to be looking at it because of the, COVID, and you're not even open to the public as far as the building's concerned.
Yeah.
So anyway, but I'd welcome, you coming back at another time after there's a little bit more analysis. And I realize the timing and all that. It just doesn't feel like something that the select board is like really able to support tonight.
Okay.
All right, so thank you. Ed, what was the other proposal or article?
The other article that was brought forward was from the Health Department, funding for Board of Health expenses to see if the town will vote to raise, appropriate, transfer, or otherwise provide the sum of $2,500 to the Health Department expense budget to reinstate normal expenses and fund the Health Department for the remainder of the fiscal year 2021. And as you may recall, this due to our tight budget situation, the original amount of the request for the Health Department, in fact, I think it was level funded at $3,000. Originally, that was reduced to, I think, $11 and some change. And then when we utilized the additional state revenues that the governor and the legislature so kindly brought forward to us, that was increased to $500, but that's all that's in that expense account. So they're requesting the $2,500 be added to it to bring it back to the $3,000. There's only a couple $100 left in that account. And I will I will say that, this one without the expense account, they do have the annual inspections that'll be coming up at the beginning of the year for the licenses. There's also continuing, septic work, perk tests, Title V that need to be done. There's travel expenses and other expenses that are associated with that. So I'm actually going to recommend to the board that for the continuation of the health department services to both businesses and residents in the town, that this one be moved forward.
Well, my question is, what's the source of this increase? I mean,
Free
where's the
cash.
money going to come from?
Free cash.
But it hasn't been certified yet.
We actually have some left from fiscal year 20 that some of the legislative acts allow us to use. So we can use that.
How much is in
that
the,
is?
Yeah, this is the first we're hearing about this.
I had actually forgotten about it because when we were going forward with the annual town meeting, at first, we were going to actually use most of it in the capital line items.
so how much is it?
I'd have to go back and take a look. Hang on, let me see if I have it.
If it's a large number, we could have used that balancing
Yeah.
budget.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
We should, yeah, that could have been part of our, I mean.
Painstaking
Yeah.
budget process.
Mhm.
well, and why did we just go with the other one where we're nickel and diming $500 here and there and everywhere to do whatever we had to do for the $3,500 one, the other article here? I mean,
Yes,
I don't understand. I thought free cash was done.
yeah, me too.
Yep.
And this is why, I mean, the absence almost the entire year of a finance committee that could vet a lot of these things, is really going to be helpful. I'm glad you have a full complement now because
Well,
you really do need the help.
Well, speaking of which, I was going to bring up next week, but we only have 4 members, so we need an extra member. So if
Okay.
anybody's watching is interested, go to Ed, put an application in, and we'll welcome you with open arms. We have 4 good solid members now, which is great. There was a lot of interest last night.
Good. And the other thing is to wait until the next special town meeting when we get this year's free cash to take a look at, the whole picture across the board.
Yeah, we haven't gotten our second, don't we get another tranche of money we thought from the state coming up or not?
Yeah, the when our free cash is certified for the previous
Yeah.
fiscal year.
Okay. So that won't be right away though.
But we may have another special town meeting
Right.
with that
Right.
in mind. So if that's the case, if Jennifer does the study and comes back before then, it gives her an opportunity.
I mean, last year, I think.
Just while we're talking,
Go ahead, John.
I'm sorry, we have a disconnect, it seems, when we start and stop. I was just going to say, for the information, Ken Cole was elected the new chair of the Finance Committee, and Rachel
good.
Dion was the vice chair.
Good.
Great.
I think last year we had our special town meeting actually was held in January, February. So around the end of the year,
Right.
free cash is certified, and then we had a special meeting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's going to be possible with COVID and indoor, outdoor, but I doubt it, which is why I think there's a interest in having the next one very soon so that there's hopefully it's warm enough.
So let's see. This is the downside of us not having the technology in town hall, that Ed has to be in a different room to run these meetings where, and all his source information is at his office, rather than being able to work from his desktop and participate in these meetings.
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to say that I went to the last Board of Health meeting. It was held at Conant Park, and Ed was there and Francine was there, and I do not remember. I had to leave because I had an open space review committee, but my understanding is I had left only minutes before the meeting ended. I do not remember them voting on this, so I'd like to know if the Board of Health even endorsed this, who actually should. I also know that the Board of Health got, I think, $7,000 and $9,000 from DPH, which is just sitting there. I don't know if they've re-looked at whether or not it can be redistributed and for what. They also got a significant amount of the recent funding of CARES Act for a public health nurse, for case tracing, for fund management, which in my mind should have gone to Vicky. So anyway, I don't know, I just have a little bit of concern about, has anybody gone down the list and detailed what part of the additional funds that they've got can be earmarked towards some of the work of COVID and therefore freeing up some other, funds. I know that you can't move too much into an expense account and you can't use some of the grants that are coming in for operating, but I just have a lot of questions about this. It's also last minute. There was nothing that I saw voted by the Board of Health who has to endorse this. And I just don't know if, what's happening with the funds that they've gotten and if any of them can be redistributed.
Yeah.
Does anybody know?
No, I honestly, really, I don't recall them voting because the meeting ended shortly after you left.
Okay.
So we would have.
There's nobody here from the Board of Health to speak to this. So it's hard for me to frankly support this.
Okay, Ed, the question came up. You were at the Board of Health meeting last week. Did the board vote on this request for additional funding to come forward for the town meeting?
I got there late, so to be honest with you, I don't know.
No.
Well, I was there at the beginning and they did not. So I feel like this should be an endorsement by the Board of Health. They're the ones that make decisions for this department.
But you were there at the end, and I think that conversation came up further into the meeting.
Well, I remember at the end that Charlie Konecki was lobbying to remind the select board that they were $2,500 short. Like I say, at that time, I don't remember them taking any vote.
Okay.
I think that the same thing, if someone came to me and said, we do this number of restaurant inspections a year, we do this number of perk tests a year, we do this number of housing inspections, and out of the expense account comes mileage and this and this and that, and therefore, we are in need of this, this, and this. When they went in front of the town meeting because of the Sharps program, they said, we need more money for the Sharps program. It's a very popular program. And they didn't say we had this many canisters and this fiscal year and it went up to this much this period of time. I just think that if, I just think that people are going to be asking for more hours, more money. And I just, this was a very difficult year. We basically had to cut every department. So I don't necessarily think it's entirely fair. I get that they have very little expense money. They got more money to their department in the CARES Act. Is anything, the activities that they're doing in the department able to switch and be able to offset some of the, can they use some of the money from CARES Act towards some of the other things that they're doing and therefore free up some funds for expenses? I mean, I don't know that any of this has been looked at. Don't forget, we have a board member who donated $5,000 of his own money for a mosquito program. So I just don't feel comfortable with another last minute sort of request, and it's not sure that it's fair to the other departments either. And if the Board of Health has not voted in favor of it, then I don't believe that an employee of the health department is able to put forth an article for the warrant.
So Ed, what's the balance from last year in free cash?
And this goes back to earlier in the year, so I'm just going to give it to you in round figures by what my notes would have been left. Should have been about $20,000.
Oh my goodness.
Oh,
And that was going to be used for capital projects, which were taken off and delayed.
And looking ahead to round 2 of CARES, are there any of those things that can fit into those expense lines that you would obviously legitimately need and use during COVID? I'm not asking anybody to make something up.
Yeah.
I'm just saying things that you don't have that would help during this time that might otherwise have been part of that capital. Thinking, not the budget, but
Yeah.
what was in the planning.
Not that I'm aware of at this time.
Can you explain about that $20,000 again, please, Ed?
Yes, there was $20,000 in free cash that the capital committee was looking to utilize towards some of their capital projects or capital requests that came in. And then towards the end, when things changed and they actually, I won't say slacked off, but said that some of the items could be maybe brought up at a fall town meeting or at a later date due to COVID-19, they didn't move forward.
So I
So
guess I'm
is
trying
this
to
money, go ahead, Francine.
No, I'm just trying to understand. Is it free cash or was it money that was to be transferred to the capital lines?
No, it's free cash.
So the townspeople never voted to transfer this free cash into the capital stabilization?
No, it would have been the portion of whether it's, I think it's 20% that's left over after the distribution's been done between capital stabilization, operating stabilization, and OPEB.
So this is really free cash. This does not fit those. This was above and beyond those percentage allocations.
Yes.
And this is money that is typically available as the remaining funds in our budget as free cash?
Yes.
So how did capital get a hold of it to use rather than going through the capital stabilization? Why did they have the ability to put it on hold?
It was just part of that process when they were originally trying to fund all the requests that they thought were important that they were planning on utilizing, and then they did not move forward with all those projects.
So
Just because of shortening the annual town meeting.
So would this have been money that would have gone to them, or is this money over and above the percentage that they automatically get as a result of our, our year-end certification?
Well, this would be money over and above what the policy says we should put in, or as a minimum, into capital stabilization.
So then it's still free cash by definition.
It's still free cash, correct? Yes.
But the capital committee had anticipated requesting that money for capital to be voted on by the voters?
Yes.
And it wasn't, and they didn't feel like they needed it, so it stayed in free cash.
Correct.
And do you know, over the course of your time being here, what has been a balance in free cash that has not been allocated to any of the accounts in town?
I'd have to go back and take a look, but I think in most years it was pretty well allocated out. And anything
That's what I thought.
Yeah, and then anything that would be left would usually be closed out and flow to the following year's free cash.
Right. Well, how come we didn't hear about this when it came to doing the budget, when we painstakingly went through every single line?
Painful, yeah. Well, and also, I mean, with what we've just talked about in terms of the warrant, is this cash that we could use now for the, I don't know, for the scanner or the security system at the library, rather
Or
than
the street lights or,
taking it
or
from capital
anything.
stabilization? I mean,
You could. I would definitely want to check on what the actual balance is that's available.
Well, of course, but
Yeah,
even
but I mean-
this ballpark is very interesting information.
but I mean, even to take those,
If we can get the actual balance,
yeah.
what, John?
yeah, let's say if we get the actual balance, if we get the actual balance by next meeting, that we can decide what to do with it, because there's a lot of people out there who would love to have some additional funding.
Well, no, this has got to get approved and signed and posted 14 days before the special town meeting.
So it's got to be
It's
voted
not
on by the
ours.
town meeting?
What's that?
Does it have to be a
I
warrant?
said, so it's got to be voted on by the town meeting?
Unless we have another
Go ahead,
town.
Chris, we're talking. Okay.
The only way I'd support this is if we equitably, give money back to like all the departments. I mean, if we have $20,000 sitting in free cash that wasn't used, wasn't voted by the townspeople to do something with, then, we have streetlights that were turned off. We have a lot of departments were cut.
Yeah, I would go back and look at those cuts and see what it is that we could reinstate.
I mean, we have the legal fund was cut seriously. I'm surprised that the gas and plumbing was taking money out for the election workers when that was one that was, determined to be low as it was.
Also keep in the back of your minds, I know it's an unusual year, but in general, the recommendation is to use free cash for one-time expenses like capital expenses rather than incurring operating budgetary expenses.
Right, but because we had to, and I know that's what the state recommends, that we not use free cash to balance the budget, but this was an unusual year where we had to really cut the budget. And so
To
this
balance it,
essentially
right.
would be, keeping us whole.
Besides,
Or
Ed,
close to the whole.
you just said you recommended we do this.
Yes, I do, because I recognize the consequences of that particular expense account being so low of what may be the impact to, businesses or residents, going forward, whether it's trying to build homes, do the annual licensing inspections and do the annual licenses or what have you.
Mm-hmm. And I recognize the difficulty of not having streetlights on.
Yeah.
I think we need the actual amount, and we need to look back a little bit and consider this along with other items. We lost Chris.
Okay, we'll just hold off a bit. She probably, like me, kind of lost a connection.
And the fiscal year 20, has that all been closed out? Is there a
Not yet.
report?
In a normal year, this even though it hasn't officially been closed out, this free cash would be actually already gone and waiting to be recertified. But my memory is one of those legislative acts actually allowed it to be carried forward.
Yeah, I think I remember that in the information we received, yes. They were much more flexible this year than they have been in the past.
Yes.
Let me see. Okay. Okay, I got a text from Chris. Her power is flickering. She's rebooting now.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Well, the joys of technology, huh?
Yep.
Okay. So they have a few $100s that could probably get them to the next town meeting.
Yeah, probably won't get to the next town meeting, no.
Not the annual, but if we have a special.
Yeah, I doubt if $200 will get them to like February.
But how much did they have starting in this fiscal year? They didn't have much more than $200. They had like $300.
They had 500.
They had 5. Okay, there's good.
Could you unmute Chris, please?
Sure.
Sorry, guys, I lost power for a second here, completely.
Okay.
Okay.
Don't think it's raining that hard out, but anyway.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on tonight. So we're still talking about the proposal by the health department. Again, I come back to the fact that it was not voted on in my memory of by the Board of Health, which oversees the department. I have some concerns about other departments, that it's not necessarily fair to other departments, and a little annoyed that we didn't know about the $20,000. So what other comments do people have?
So I'm not sure that we should take either. Well, we already decided not to take the first article on the treasurer collector. I'm not sure we should take action on this either. At this point in time. I'm not saying no, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I would like to see them, I mean, Ed, does everybody that got CARES Act funding know that they got CARES Act funding?
Yes.
Okay. Has the Board of Health or the Health Department looked at every single line item? I do believe they got, when you read out the line items that we had not previously known about, when you read it off, there was a lot from a public health nurse to, we just found out through looking at the warrants about a contract that was made for a stipend for someone for case tracing. Have there been any attempt to look at the expenses that have occurred because of COVID and reallocate any funding and free up any funding, any expenses?
Well, everything that should be able to be allocated to, whether it's FEMA or CARES Act, should be, regardless. So, even if somebody didn't have or put in for CARES Act funding, if they have an expense that was related to COVID-19, it should still be being recorded into the accounts that Vicki had sent up for COVID-19 related expenses or wages.
So,
Now,
but some of
Go ahead, Chris.
No, I was just going to say, but keeping in mind, I totally agree. And the COVID money can be used for things that are unbudgeted. So this technically would fall as unbudgeted, right? Because we took the money away from them, from BOH, right? So.
But it's still got to be related to be COVID-19. So if you got someone getting mileage for going out to do a perk test or a Title V or an inspection that's regular business, then no, it's not eligible for that.
That's
Are
right.
they able to move line items within their own budget?
No.
But that can be by vote of the select board, right? Not the town?
No, it'd either take a town meeting vote or it would take into waiting until May or June to have the select board and the finance committee to transfer those funds between line items.
Why is that only able to happen during the spring?
That's the state statute on that allows us to do it.
But going back to something that Rini mentioned, the $9,000 award that they got, that they reserved for some vaccination program, is there any flexibility in going back and asking to use that money for this? It was not, I'm not sure that was tied to COVID per se. It was tied to the department, but the health department.
The money that came through PVPC?
Yes.
Yes, that was still tied to COVID.
It was, so it's not, okay.
I think the part that don't understand also, Ed, is what about all the other departments that incurred some pretty significant cuts? I'm just, like we went through a very painstaking process of making sure that there was a percentage of cuts that that departments weren't unfairly, cut. And I'm just kind of, I'm kind of concerned that nobody from the Board of Health is here to speak to this. And I also don't believe that the Board of Health voted on this. And I don't understand what the other departments, I think it's just very precedent setting when we just make, decisions that don't take other departments in consideration.
Yeah, I fully understand that. Yeah, like favoring one department over another.
Yeah, I think we made a point of really trying hard not to do that when we had to make those terrible cuts.
Yes, the board did definitely do that, in my opinion.
So I'm going to recommend that we, table this until we find out a little bit more about the actual balance that we have and how it might be utilized equitably and fairly, including the Department of Health.
Any other comments? Does anybody else in the select board want to have a vote on this, or do you agree with Francine in tabling it?
I agree. Again, it's not enough time and not enough details.
Yeah, I agree as well. I think it's not enough detail for me to understand this fully as to how we can do this, especially with the free cash idea. I really do feel that we've got to be much more, across the board, consistent across the board with our other departments too.
Yeah. Okay.
And also, let me do a little research and I'll let you know, because I can't remember for positively if that free cash was just restricted to be used for fiscal year 20 expenses if they ran over, or could be used in fiscal year 21. And also, let me see if they were any lenient on how those funds could be appropriated.
All right, that'd be helpful, Ed. Thanks. So is there any other comment? Go ahead, John.
Yeah, just want to say, can we get an exact number for next meeting so we know what we're dealing with?
Yeah, I can ask for that.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So is there any other question? You want to discuss anything else relative to the town meeting? It's right now planned for October 17th. The special town meeting, I'm sorry.
Question.
Sure.
Yeah, I've got a question. Ed, are you going to set up a meeting so that group can meet again to discuss all the details? Because we're only a couple weeks out.
Yes, I am. At least fortunately, we've got the same venue. So it shouldn't need to be tweaked very much, and hope we should be able to use essentially the same layout. But yeah, I will set something up for the beginning of next week.
Robert,
I guess my biggest concern is, before he does that, my biggest concern is, did somebody reach out to the audio vendor to make sure they have that date open?
He does. I already have.
Great, thanks.
Oh, you're welcome.
Here's Robert.
Yeah, Robert's on the call too. I just wondered if, Robert, if you have anything that you want to say relative to the special town meeting on October 17th at 10 a.m. at Labrie Field.
I do. Robert Floyd, 166 College Highway. Now we have money to pay for the special town meeting. That's great. Good news. town moderator will have the special town meeting article information session on Thursday at 6 o'clock, October 8th. And Ed and I will be in the room like we did for the annual. And to have the handouts approved for the special town meeting on the 17th of October, we need them at the town clerk's office Wednesday, October 14th by noon. And that's about it.
Okay, thank you, Robert. Are there any other details that people have questions about besides the audio? I mean, it sounds like there's going to be a meeting set up of the wonderful group that helped with this before. And hopefully we'll have nice weather on the 17th. It'll be at 10 a little bit later, just to have it be a little warmer if needed. Any other questions for Ed or anybody about the planning for the special town meeting?
And I would like to thank Robert and Lucy, because Robert really wanted it at 1 in the afternoon when it was warmer, and Lucy already had the early voting hours set up, so she wasn't available in the afternoon. So two of them actually compromised on the 10 a.m. Not quite as early as the 9 a.m. Should be a little bit warmer and should work out. So that the special town meeting is completed and Lucy can come back to town hall and do the early voting hours that afternoon.
I want to go on record. Anything for Lucy.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. And hopefully, like I said, it'll be a nice day, and we'll finish up with the articles that were approved tonight. Okay. So we have what Ed?
So it's all right for me to move this from draft to finalized and get your signatures on it as it was presented?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I can come by tomorrow and sign it if you want.
All right.
Are you looking for everybody to be available by when, Ed?
Tomorrow's Wednesday. If I could get at least 3 or 4 of you to sign it
Okay.
tomorrow, I think that would be great and give us enough time to get it out and have the constables post it so it's out 14 days before the special town meeting.
I'll be available.
Yeah, I can too.
Myself.
Wonderful.
Oh.
Okay, the only other thing, Ed, is on the warrant. Can you change Board of Selectmen at the end to Select Board, please?
Oh, I missed that again, didn't I?
Yes, you did. I'm only giving you a little window to, it's been 2 years now, just so you know. Anyway, so any other questions about the town meeting or about the warrant or anything?
No.
Okay, so the only other item on the agenda besides open time for the public is minutes.
No, there's one other one.
What is it?
We do have the approval of the employees.
Yes.
For short-time
Okay, yeah.
disability.
Right.
And we did receive that paperwork. The employee is fully eligible, so
Okay.
would like to get a vote to approve that, and then that form would need to be signed by Maureen as chair to make it official.
Okay, so we got that paperwork in our packet, and we don't disclose a lot of details, but we do have to approve the employee short-term disability. So would someone like to make a motion to do that?
I'll move to make this individual eligible for short-term disability.
I'll second.
Okay, further questions, comments? Now, this is actually, this ends up being funded by the individual departments. Is that something that this department, the highway department, can accommodate?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Any questions by anybody?
No.
Ready to vote?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all in favor?
Fishman, aye.
Fowles eye.
Martin, aye.
And Groden, aye. And then now we're up to the minutes, and we have two sets of minutes, June 9th and June 23rd, 2020. Again, very detailed minutes.
Yes.
Everybody get a chance? Everybody get a chance to look at them?
Yes.
A couple of, Francine, thank you for your editing. There was a couple of minor edits, not content.
Right.
So those were made before we were sent out the final copy here. So any other edits? We'll start with June
June
9th. Any questions, comments, changes? How about with the June 23rd ones?
Nope.
No. No
Okay,
questions.
would you like to make a motion to approve both of them then?
So moved.
Okay, Chris?
Can I do that? To approve both minutes for the 2 June meetings.
Yes. All right, Chris made the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Francine, any further comments, questions? All in favor?
Fishman, aye.
Fowles eye.
Martin, aye.
And Groden, aye. Okay, so now we do have calendar and announcements. There is a regular select board meeting next Tuesday. I've already mentioned that I will not be able to be there. So Francine will be chair. There's also a meeting on the 20th, and then of course the special town meeting on the 17th with a rain or other day, backup day of the 24th. So that brings us to open time for the public. The select board reserves a portion of its meeting for public comments and encourages participation. So I won't read through there, but if, is there anybody from the public that would like to say something?
Tammy has her hand up.
Who does?
Tammy.
Yeah, I'm looking right on the participant list and I don't see her hand up. So Tammy. Hey, Tammy.
It's 298 College Highway. I had literally had my real hand up. I didn't.
See, that's the problem. I have a little video issue. I was looking at the technology hand. How you doing, Tammy?
Good, thank you. My question is, what is up with the website? I am getting bombarded with people asking. I've been trying to direct them to my town government /01073 to try to find out what's going on for meetings and things like that, but you still can't get in to get any other information. And normally on the website would have when Robert's information meeting is. It would have the warrant so that people can look at this ahead of time and be able to actually see all this documentation. What's happening, please?
The website's up. You got to use the address of https://townofsouthampton.org.
So how can that message get out to folks? Because I've, run up against the same thing. A number of people have contacted us too.
Yeah, that's the secure website. The www is the unsecure. I've actually asked the person to actually change it so people can get in through either one, the secure or the unsecure.
So they can Google Town of Southampton, Mass, and they'll get the www one?
If you actually Google Southampton, Mass, you should get the HTTPS one.
So if we already had it saved on and our bookmarks, we have to cancel it and redo it now?
Correct. Or just not use that bookmark.
Okay.
But within a day, you should be able to get in through either the secure or the older www,
Okay.
which is an unsecure.
That's going to be a huge relief for a lot of people. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So is that tied to the new server, Ed, or is that just something else that was going on?
No, that's just something else that was going on because the old website was unsecure. We thought we were doing the right thing by turning it into a secure website. But because of the fact that when you Google, depending on what you're using for a browser, you might get the HTTPS and get in, or you might get the old www, and then you're going to come up and it's going to say website unavailable.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if there might be a way to get that message out. A lot of people, Tammy, I agree with you. A lot of people have been concerned about that. I wasn't really sure what was going on.
And even like for tonight's meeting, I was trying to get a quick updated agenda and had to go to the other one to get into it to try to print it off. And then after I printed that off, Ed sent another update out. Or it was updated and it came to my email, the new one. And that's where I found I had a typo.
Mm-hmm.
The password wasn't. So John, thank you very much for getting me the password.
Welcome.
That's it for me. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Tammy, for remembering that. Any other questions from the public? Do we have any correspondences that came in?
We do. I was actually saving it for next week. I didn't actually think about bringing it in for this, but we did get a letter from a family off Cook Road offering that they have some property available that's about 29 acres. It's over the aquifer that they want to know if the town might be interested in purchasing from them. I did send that along to the water commissioners for their information since it's over the aquifer, but I was going to present that and read that at Tuesday night's regular meeting.
Okay. Can you also forward that to us?
Absolutely.
Okay. And there was another correspondence that had come in previously, Ed. You were researching some land across the street from a resident who was interested in purchasing some land.
Yeah, I'm still finishing that up.
Okay. Any other questions, comments, agenda items we should discuss?
Just maybe for next time, we can talk about what's going on with the server and stuff and what we're expecting it, for computer updates and things at town hall.
Mm-hmm. I'll put that on the agenda list. I did want to let folks know, especially since actually he just left the call. Dan Lavelli did contact me and did say that there's a lot of technological expertise in this town, and he wanted to come on the not next meeting, the weekend after. And let me just look at the date. So not the next not the next select board meeting, but the one after. So that'd be the 20th.
20th. Yeah.
So yeah, he wanted to come and speak to the possibility of our support for sort of an ad hoc technology committee, because there are a good number of people that have a lot of expertise that are willing to kind of put their heads together, and it could involve like the internet, could involve we actually, when I first started on the select board, there was an attempt to form a technology committee, and Kim Florick from the high school had offered her services, but there weren't enough people stepping up at that particular time. But it sounds like there's a lot more people engaged now, especially with the schools and remote learning and all that. So I did tell him that I would put him on the agenda for the 20th of October to discuss that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll put down here the server update for next time. Any other requests specifically for the next Tuesday's meeting? Okay.
Well, I think we did very well for planning a 1-hour meeting.
Yes.
There you go.
It is. Yeah, that's the, the ones that took the longest were the two that were added kind of last minute. So that tells you
Yeah.
something.
If you don't count those, we would have been done.
That was pretty straightforward because we'd already approved the rest of them. We just kicked them down the road. So I'm really glad that we're able to bring those to the voters as we had promised. So there's nothing else. So I'll have entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Mhm. I'll second that.
All right, Francine and then Chris, all those in favor?
Fishman, aye.
Fowles eye.
Martin, aye.
And Groden, aye. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.
Night,
All
everybody.
right.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
You too.